Yep, so there it is, the fun Honda, oh yeah, my charge lid is open, service now past due by 1 day, the A129 service. So in my Honda Clarity, I'm going to show you what that is. Please ignore my charge lid open. Thanks. Yeah, so as you saw on the dash, A129 on my Honda. So what that means is either A or 1, I can't remember, is tire rotation, which means take them off, swap them, and put them back. I'm not going to do that because winter tires. My car tires get rotated twice a year when I switch from summer to winter and winter to summer, so that's not something I'm going to do. Now, if you are, however, just jack up one side of the car. It's easy enough to do. A jack will raise up both sides, or both tires on one side or the other, and then swap them front to back, because if your tires are directional, that's the only way you can do it. And then obviously do the same for the other side. So that's kind of the easy one. The other one is an oil change, which I'm just about to do, which is why the car is off the ground. On ramps at least, which is a lot easier than jacking this thing up because it weighs a ton. 4 of them, I think, to be honest, and it's a pain in the ass. So, and then that brings us to the 2 other ones. 2, I think, is your air filter, your motor air filter, and then the other is your cabin filter. So I'm just going to walk through how that works, but first I'm going to start with the oil change, just so those folks know who haven't seen just how easy it is. There is nothing at all different about doing it on this car than there is on any other car that you've ever worked on, save for the fact that you can't immediately get in the car and run the motor without putting it in some sort of service mode. So all I simply do is I put it in sport mode and drive it once everything is in and I know that I put the right amount of fuel in, or oil in. So that's how I take care of that, but that's the only wrinkle. I'm sure someone else can tell me what the actual mechanism is to turn the motor on. I know Priuses and things like that have a way you put the hood up and push the brakes, or who knows, but I take care of that another way. And then I'm going to show you just how dead simple, and in my case completely unnecessary, it is to change the air filter in the motor, because again, my car has 75,000 kilometers, almost to the single digit there, and I've only run 75% of that on pure EV, so I really don't have much. And I'm going to show you, I'll check the filter and you'll see it's just almost as clean as the day I brought it home. So that's not a concern. And then the other is, it takes all of 4 minutes to check and replace the cabin air filter. So let's get on with that, shall we? Thanks, folks. Well, here I am under the car, and again, that's the bolt we have to remove. That's the oil pan plug, and it's a 17 mil, so ignore what I said earlier. So just put your pan underneath. Yeah, I've got an old filter in there for my old pan, or for my old last change, and then there's the filter. So let's get to just pulling that out. So hang on a sec while I get the wrench. Oh, here, let me put you down because I need a little bit more effort on that. Let's see for 1 second. Yeah, compelling view of my forearm, but there, that's just enough, just to tap it so that it's free, and then drain it out. Don't forget, you got to get yourself a crush washer for this drain plug, which I have extras of, so I'll be sure to show you that. So let's see if I can do this without getting oil all over myself and the camera while I'm doing it. So almost, and there we go. Oh, almost missed it. So there it is. Wear gloves too, or you're going to get your stuff all over yourself. And see, there's the crush washer. I have a copper one, and I'm going to go get other, I have a replacement copper one as well. So let me put this down while I go do that, and then I'll move on to the filter. Oh, and just to make myself feel even dumber about the first time I did the oil on this and inadvertently drained the transmission, guess what that says? Engine oil with a bunch of arrows right to the drain plug. So, yeah, no excuses for me missing that, but I did. Anyway, just about to do the filter here, so let's put this down, and then we'll move on to the filter and see if I can just give it a twist. There we go. Remember, these shouldn't be terribly tight, so I'm just going to do that, loosen it, and then I'm going to, before I do all that, once the oil pan stops draining, I'll put the new crush washer on here and put it in and then tighten it down, and then I'm going to move to the oil filter so I can use the same pan to catch all of the oil that will fall out of the filter housing. So pause here and join me in a second. There, so you can see I wiped that up pretty decent. It's not perfect, but what I've also done is I've taken the new filter here and I've filled it as best I can, even though that sits at an angle up there. And then I've taken some oil and rubbed it around the sealing ring, because that will help it come off easier. If you notice, when I took it off, it wasn't that hard. So now the trick is just to kind of gently, it's tough to do this and think and talk at the same time, but oh yeah, it's starting to drip. Come on, baby. It's a little slippery, of course, because it's full of oil sliding down the side, but if you back it off and then you can hear it click, and then you can put it in. But yeah, I'm doing a pretty bad job of this, talking at the same time. Let me put you down and use two hands here. Oops. Okay, that actually was no big deal. I just had to straighten it. So there, now it's just going on. Now this thing is covered in oil, so it's gonna be super slippery, so I won't be able to tighten it by hand until I wipe it. But I am only gonna tighten it by hand. Typically, and you can tell, right, if you over tighten it, then you might split the seal and then oil will go everywhere and you'll crap out your motor or potentially do a lot of damage by losing oil because you just were slightly too too draconian with the way you tightened that thing up. So you don't want to damage the seal. So you can get a sense of where it shows up. So it's still not connected there. There, it's right there, it hits. So you try to do kind of a full turn, but kind of 3/4, and then you can tell, like, you don't want to over tighten it because again it'll cause you a lot of troubles. So that's it. I'm just going to wipe that up, and then I'm going to torque the, well, here, I'll do it while I'm sitting here. Do it with one hand. It's a little more tricky, but see what we can do here. There we go, and let's see the other way. So as far as tightening the drain pan too, oops, come on, baby. Again, wrong hand here. You don't want to over tighten it. It just touches, and then you snug, and you'll feel the crush washer crush. Like, just... that's about all. I'm not doing any more than that because, again, you don't want to split it. You don't want to cause yourself any trouble. So the best thing to do is, even though this has a service door, the plastic, which I frankly never put back on because it's just such a pain, and it got damaged in the winter, it's just plastic, so it's no big deal at all. I won't put it back on, so leave it off. Then I'll be able to check, you know, the next day or two after the oil change if there are any drips. And of course, you check the level as well every day for the next couple days after you do this, because you don't want to inadvertently have made a mistake that somehow lets your oil go down, and then you'll do a lot of engine damage when it was easy to ensure that it doesn't happen. So anyway, now back up to the top and we'll fill the thing up. Thanks. So the drain plug is on and tight, and the filter is on and tight. That's important. And now we come up top and put the oil in. So 3.3 liters with the filter. So I filled the filter already mostly, so I'm guessing of that 0.2 liters, I probably put 0.15 in there, so I'm going to kind of eyeball that. So, but that's easy enough to do. Again, either get yourself a 1 liter clear plastic measuring cup that stays in the garage, which I also have, but also you can roughly tell on some of these bottles. It's not the easiest, but you can kind of tell. So I'm going to go ahead with that because I'll need 2 hands to do this. So I'll put you down and I'll show you what the end result is once I've got the oil in. Thanks so much. Through the magic of YouTube. You can see I wiped up a little bit. So I've got my 3.3 liters in there with the filter. I've checked it on the dipstick a bunch of times. Now the car's sitting up a little because I do have it on the ramps. So I'll double check it again when it's level on the ground. And I've run it a little bit. So I know that that's going to make it change just a little bit. So after it's run for a bit, let it sit if you have the opportunity. A good half hour, and then go and triple check it on the dipstick. And then what I always do is, before I go in for the night, I pop the hood so that when I come out the next day to actually drive the car, that's when I double check it, because again, it gives the whole overnight to let the oil drain right into the pan, so you know exactly how much is there. So that's easy. So that's number 1, the tire rotation, which I'm not doing because I told you, and number 2 is, so A and then 1 rather, is the oil change. So that's that so far. Let's move on to the air filter, which is right there. So you find me at the air filter. There are 2 clips. If you've ever done an air filter, you know that there's at least these things here. I actually was thinking I'd pull this out, although I'm going to see if I can leave it. There's probably enough play in here to make me do it, to let me do it. And these things are not clips. It just kind of lifts up and pulls out. So let's see. And I'm not left-handed, but let's see. Oh, that was more dramatic than I thought. So as I say, this is my plug-in hybrid. I've run this thing 75% of its 75,000 kilometers on pure EV. So this thing does not get used a lot. So that filter You know, and I'll check the underside. In fact, I did earlier. It's a little bit, but honestly, that thing's brand new. I'm not going to change that. It's had 15,000 kilometers, and a lot of that's in the ice and snow. So yes, there's still dust in the air, but not a lot of it. So that thing looks clearly fine. You can get right in there and have a look. So I'm not going to change that, but if you were to, you just, again, left-handed here, when I'm not. Come on, baby. Let's just see. There we go. That's all it is. And always make sure, you know, you clean out that. There's nothing in there that I'm worried about. I guess, oh, here's the tab that will actually help you lift it out. Now I'll know that for next time when I actually do that. So that thing's fine. It's only dirty because my hands are dirty, so I'm not going to change it. And if anyone ever pays to have that done, I mean, it's ridiculous. The only thing that's more ridiculous is, I'll show you, paying someone to do your interior cabin filter, which I will show you next. So from the inside of your car, the first thing I'd recommend is empty your glove box, because you will have to tip it down. So I emptied mine. What you need to do is up inside here, sorry, let's do that better. Like, so right up here and here are two little catches that all you need to do, it's easier with two hands, so I might just do that, but all you need to do is push that in and then push that one in, and then the tips down further, and this little thing actually extends. That's the little catch that holds it, and then right there, that's your cabin filter little thingy. So you push in on that little tab. It's easier with two hands, but I'll do it with one hand just to show how easy it is. And there it is. So this one I'm going to pull out. Yeah, that one I should change. I don't actually have a filter, so I won't do it now, but that's all you need to do. And keep in mind the orientation, and then you can actually see the top of the fan, the interior fan in there. So I will buy one. I didn't actually before I did this video, but there it is. You just slide it back in. Again, there's nothing dramatic about this. And for the love of God, please do not pay someone $100 or $60 or any money at all to do this. I just did this with my left hand, and I'm not left-handed, and I did it holding a camera, and then you just snap this thing on. You see it's just got two little tabs. Yeah, that says airflow on it, so that that tells you, it gives you the clue as to which way to put it up, or put it in rather. That's about all. It's just a chunk of plastic. Let me do this. A little awkward how I'm sitting, but otherwise it's just fine. So 1 and 2, snap, snap, and then these things, you just push that in, and then done and done. So that's all I did. Nothing dramatic. That took me, what is that, 2 minutes on the counter here? So honestly, don't pay anyone to do that. And now you're done your A129 service, and the last thing I'll do is show you how to kill the warning light on the. So now that we just completed these services, A1, 2, and 9, now we go over to here and let it focus. There we go. And again, left-handed, this is how you clear that. So from the home screen here, let's go right back to the beginning. So from home screen there, you go to settings, vehicle, clearly. Let me switch so I can actually use my right hand. So it's not even here. You have to scroll down to maintenance info, select maintenance info, obviously. Select items to reset. Okay, there it tells you. So A is oil and filter, 1 is tire rotation, 2 is the filter. Oh, it didn't say oil. No, it did. Sorry, here it is. Dust and pollen filter. I would have sworn it said air filter. So clearly I don't need it because it's good. And then number 9 is the chassis inspection, which, you know, they'll go under and they'll poke and prod the bushings and things like that. And this thing does have a very sophisticated rear suspension, so it wouldn't be out of the question for someone to have that done. But an oil and filter, they'll charge you $130 for that, or $100 in the US. Tire rotation, about the same. Dust and pollen filter, like $60 to do what you did there. So at least take care of A1 and 2 before you make them do that. So anyway, select items to reset. I just do all do items because they're done. And would you like to reset maintenance info? You go yes, and then it will sit and think. And we're done, and now it's gone from there. So if you've managed to do all this, folks, you have now successfully saved yourself several $100s, and now your car's good to go for another big chunk of miles. So anyway, let's turn this around. There I am. Awkwardly, I just want to say thanks for watching this. I hope it made some sense to you folks. As always, if you have any questions or want to know anything else about this silly car that I might happen to know in my 3.5 years almost of ownership, and so what are we at? 76,922 kilometers, so almost 77,000 kilometers. I'm happy to provide whatever info I can, so don't be shy. Anyway, all the best, folks, and here's to almost being done with COVID. Hope everyone ended up okay. Thanks so much.